Welcome, Sudo. Good to see you. Look, a lot of people joining. Welcome, Astral. Welcome, Daniel, Arnold, Kijos, Lise, Dylan, and Matt. Good new week, everyone. And what is this price movement? Yeah, it's weird. I was at the gym, so I was not looking at it here, but I was also not a setup for this short at least. Although you broke up basically with this high, high, low, higher, high, and then broke structure. But yeah, not a setup I will play. Let me bring this back to gray. Welcome, Mike, as well. Okay, well, more people will join later probably, but let's just get started. If we first zoom out, let's get rid of that and that. Welcome, Abby and Slatan as well. So we had this range where we had last week, where we had that super choppy price action. Basically, this was all noise. And then later on, we got that aggressive push down, then aggressive push up, and then that aggressive full reversal again of that push. So yeah, pretty wild price action. And then over the weekend, we dumped down at this local range over the weekend. And yesterday, we had like kind of a Model 2 distribution setup before selling off into the new week, which has been quite a recurable pattern last week, where each Sunday night, like here we had it as well, we have that volatility. The week before we had it also, where we had that push reversal into the weekly open. And this week it was basically the same, where we had that, if we zoom in, the local 1, 2, and then this was basically the 3 for the Model 2, where you broke structure back to bearish. This could have been your entry, although I was not watching at the charts, which I'm not doing often during the weekend. And the break was also pretty aggressive. And into the weekly close, it's always a bit, yeah, you can expect wild moves up and down. So personally, I was not looking for it, and also not sure if I would have traded it if I was there. Cleaner opportunity would have been if you tapped into that supply above, had a Model 1, then you always have a super clean invalidation. That one I would have traded. This one, yeah, was Sunday, so I'm just not too eager to trade then. And right now we are basically this range we have been in trading since last week. We had tab 1, then this was valid tab 2. However, tab 3 never got confirmed, and instead we are now below it. So this range looks like a topping range until proven otherwise. Still pretty weird one. Since we did not clearly take out the highs, we had not a clean distribution. So it was a hard one to play. I personally I don't regret how I traded this range. I think it was just good to observe it. If there was like a clean distribution, then I would have thought, okay, I missed out on the short, but now it's just this range, and it is bearish into proven otherwise. We also broke 4-hour structure back to bearish, which was this level we had been looking at. That one is now back to bearish. So what can happen from here are a few ways how I'm seeing it, which is either because we are early in the week that this is potentially manipulation, although I don't think that is the case, since this move is already pretty far below it. But if buyers step in over like today or tomorrow, then it could technically be a aggressive PO3. This is very bad drawn. But then, like, if this was the range, it is a very deep one, so I don't like it that much. But if we, for example, clear the monthly open, which had a big warning signs, we are so close to it. So if we sweep that, kind of form an accumulation here, and then see a lot of strength, then it can be a very drawn out PO3, which would be max manipulation. Although that is the low probability outcome. What is more likely is that this was the distribution range. We now are below it, and that any weakness inside these levels is basically a failed reclaim of your former range low. And that from here you sell off further down and potentially get a rotation back all the way down to all this liquidity. At this point, I don't have super clear bias what will happen. So I'm just going to look at what is the reaction at the key levels. And the key levels are this demand below, which is also, let's see. Yeah, there's also the monthly open. It was 4-hour demand. That 4-hour demand get tapped by $1. But just below it, we have 3-hour demand, which is still untaken. So that one, let me put on the 3-hour. This is the 3-hour. That one is still not hit. So that's a key level with that monthly open level. And on the daily, we should not ignore that our structure is still bullish. Where if we look at the daily structure, this is basically our last higher low for the higher high. So if we look at it from that perspective, price could also come down here, manipulate everyone, and then on the daily still put in a higher low. So it is still valid to look at these levels for potential accumulations. But yeah, as I said, I don't have a super clear bias like this will happen or that will happen. It's just reacting at the levels. However, if we look at this swing low on the daily to the swing high, let's see where the fib levels are. Okay, then price is currently in that level. So since it's Monday, this can be manipulation. However, the sell-off we are seeing again, it's looking pretty heavy. Strong reaction from that supply. So in short, what I'm looking at is, you guys know I don't like pump and dumps. That often is indicative of either continuation or just a range forming. But this is key demand. So this is where I'm looking for potential reactions. And this is key supply, also key supply. So any weakness into those levels, like a 3 drive is what you want best, is for shorts. And the same is here in demand for potential longs. Other than that, we cannot ignore the bearish structure. So let's see the width. Yeah. So from this high, we basically have a downtrend. Lower low, or low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So now we can see if we make a new low, then this was already lower high, lower low. And then see if this downtrend is weakening or not for potential bounces at this level, where I'm just going to play it to both sides. So if I see price weakening into this 3-hour demand monthly open level, and we wick it, for example, bounce from it, wick it again tomorrow, then here I'm interested in longs, and then just see what happens if we come here. Do we have clear weakness for shorts and then trend continuation down? Or do we invalidate this supply and then retest the former range low, which is still a very big level? But if you see this kind of strength by not directly rejecting from supply, which we have done now, for example, then I can see a situation where this was the early week manipulation to grab sell side liquidity, and then get a reversal back up. So basically a lot of potential outcomes. I'm not here to predict or marry any bias. I'm just going to look at the levels and for the reactions. What we had more locally was a pretty nice setup, where this was our range from low to high. The clean range, where we basically had tab 1 at the low, tab 1 at the high. And this is always nice because we had a super strong dump into the weekly open, where especially during this last move, a lot of longs got liquidated. I believe like a few 100 million of longs got liquidated again. So a lot of forced selling into these levels. So then you know that the sell pressure in this move is huge, like super huge. And then if afterwards price fails to go much lower, but instead sweeps the lows, that's indicative of a big player absorbing all that sell pressure. So we actually had tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. And then at this moment, I didn't like the model 1 too much because we came out of a strong downtrend and basically had low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And then here a sweep, but not really a break. So if we look at the high time frame, it was never a clear break, but more of a swing failure. So the model 1 I was not too confident in. But later it transitioned into our favorite absorption setup, which is the model 1. So sweep, sweep, sweep. And for the model 2, you want to grab either extreme demand or extreme liquidity. Well, in this move, there was no clear extreme demand, but the extreme liquidity is your first higher low. So if you look at your low, then you have high, high low, and then this local uptrend. And then this is your extreme liquidity, your first higher low. And price took that right here by sweeping that level. And how you move into those levels is always very key. Okay, price is making new lows, now tapping into that 3-hour demand. But super aggressive, so nothing to do for me here. And the way price came down, this is what you want to see. I was not looking at the chart, unfortunately, to see this. We have lower lows, lower high, lower low, taking out extreme liquidity. And then here, breaking it back to bullish. So if you zoom in, here you basically have your bullish break. At the moment that you break it back to bullish with a good break, like here, then this is validated as your fourth tap, basically the 1, 2, 3, 4, the best model we basically have. Then you can enter on the break. There, stop loss is your fourth tap, and target is the starting point of your range. So basically the range, the opposite side of the range. So in this case, the range high for a 2.3R, which would have been a super nice setup. Model 1 into Model 2 is always worth playing, and especially if you get local structure, yeah, that's just perfect. Quickly looking at the chat. Not sure how much to weight this, but CME gap will be closed if price returns to 39. Yeah, I believe the CME gap is not that strong anymore. I believe we have quite a few. And I believe CME is also half of May, so I think that's nearby. They are going for 24/7, so the CME gaps will be a thing of the past. So I'm not sure when it was. I believe half of May they would introduce that. Let's see, welcome Rise baby as well. 600 million for long liquidations. Yeah, could so well be. Let's see, Matt. End of May it ends. So 2 more weeks. Let's see what Matt was. The 1 minute was not valid. Local 2-tap. Which, let's see, was the 1 minute was not valid? After this one? Yeah, so here. Yeah, technically it is, but let's see. The RR of that will be massive. BT local 3-tap. And readers are also watching that. Yeah, technically you could have tried it, but I often like to look at what is clear structure. And in this case, I would say that this was the clean and obvious structure. And often that is like the full confirmation. And if you zoom in, like 2 minutes, you don't have structure. On the 1 minute, you technically have it right here. But yeah, if you start searching for it, then it comes with a lot more risk, obviously. Because oftentimes it can also be that you entered here and it gives a full reversal on you. So in my opinion, you can take it, but chances of you getting stopped out are much bigger. But with that also comes of course a much bigger reward. So if you would have taken it, then you would have sitting 5 to 6R to the technical target already. But personally, I would be a bit more safe and wait for that. Was it 5-minute bulls? Yeah, 5-minute bulls. Let's see. Slatan, doesn't that extreme liquidity on BTC look like its own little tree drive on the 1 minute time frame? Let's see. This one? Oh. Let me see on 30. Yeah. Kind of. It shows, yeah. You can see it like a tree drive, but this one is, the start is a bit weird. It was a little lower, then it looked indeed good. But it's, yeah, right at the start. Wait, doesn't that extreme liquidity on BTC look? Oh, this here. This is, I only see 2 taps. You mean this one? I'm not sure. Okay, let's see what BTC is doing, by the way. This is a strong hour to potentially create lows, but let's see. Okay, now price did tap into that remaining 3-hour demand. Right there. Potentially this can, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the low. However, I cannot do anything because this structure looks shit. However, in hindsight, 1, 2, 3, this could be on Monday New York session, probability wise can be a good low. So if you use wider stops, you could try a gamble here, but it's not my way and I'm not gonna break my own rules. But if price holds around here and we form a range, I will not be surprised if we get something like this and then push higher. Or then get like a new range, which is then, let's see, a better range. Yeah, let's see. I need more, but I will not be surprised if this is a good load making. Let's see if we have some confluence of aggressive shorts. Yeah, so we have a lot of shorts, or at least selling. 47 million. Mm. So a lot of aggressive selling directly in the wick and here quite a lot. Let's see. Yeah, so again, a big drop, quite a big drop in open interest, which are probably longs that entered at the highs. Again, strong drop in CVD, strong drop in spot. So yeah, peers are pretty strong. Yeah, I simply have nothing to do here. So let's just wait. What I always say, if it's obvious, it's obvious. If it's not obvious, then you are forcing something that's not there. So what I would like to see is either a clean range here and then play that range. If we see, like what you often see is that you have a local accumulation, or the one we already had, that makes a new high, a new low, and that low is the new starting point of a new range. Something like this. And if you then take the highs, mid-range, that this is the new range you can look for. Then if you get the accumulation, play it from there, or get a distribution, play it from there. Besides that, I'm not really looking at much here. The high probability zones are supply for lower highs and yeah, the monthly open sweep below for any bullish moves. And one thing, shorts or the bearish trend is pretty strong. So if we look at VWAPs, for example, to showcase that, that one is up there, which aligns with potential bearish retest of that key range low level. So this is a super clean level to look for reactions. And also if you look more locally, your last manipulation high, which was this high, is also there. So bears are definitely, they have the trending side, which is always more likely to continue. So price is pretty low compared to last week, but that does not mean that longs are the only option here. So keep that in mind. I currently don't see anything to do, but we can have a look at first quickly USDT, and then after that Tao, because Dylan is watching. That monthly low is $500 below that week. Yeah, I think they probably will take it out. But the thing is that also below that, like this is also doesn't look too good. So yeah, downside momentum is in play right now. And UCT, we cannot ignore the levels we marked out. Is that we had that 1, 1, 2, 3, model 1. but that model 1 was never really confirmed until we get a high time frame bullish boss, which is the significant 4-hour structure we used. Basically low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And then we had this local range where we did not take the lows, which was in my opinion the more likely outcome for a full reversal, but doesn't always have to play out like that. This was the range, and that was broken to the upside. So 2 ways to see that is that if we pull the range from low to high, this is step 1, this is step 2. And then if you put on the deviation threshold right here, you can see that here price was above the deviation threshold and now broke out, which basically means that this was an accumulation range, breakout, retest, continuation. Most likely scenario into proof otherwise, or just higher continuation. And we obviously now have a 4 hours bullish breakout structure, which technically validates this model 1 as confirmed, in which the target of that is the opposite side of the range. So something like this is most likely by just objectively looking at the chart and following the levels we drawn out last week. And now that we have those confirmations, basically we have to respect that until it is invalidated, which will be if you break structure back to bearish significantly. So locally, if we look at the structure from the low up, with low, high, high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So for now, the bullish structure is here. But we are also making a new high right now. Then have to see how this 4-hour candle closes. It's looking pretty strong. Then if we close above here, then the 4-hour structure changes to this level. But right under that we have demand, so clean level to look at. But yeah, as you can see, bulls are in control right here, which means bears are in control on the crypto pair. And price now really close to sweeping that monthly low. So let's see. And Tao, what is he doing? Yeah, okay, so on Tao we have potentially 1, 2, 3. Model 1, which broke internally back to bullish right here. And also seems to have broken back to bullish right here. So this can be the exact same setup as Bitcoin. Oh no, on Bitcoin yeah, same as Bitcoin, where we also had the Model 1 into Model 2. So it's worth watching. However, in these cases, I don't blindly look at this chart, because I also keep in mind that BTC is looking like shit. So if Bitcoin now falls through, then Tao can give one candle and the whole idea is invalidated. So I'm keeping an eye on it. But the thing is, with this, it's the exact opposite of what a lot of people did in the uptrend, is seeing every accumulation now as the only possibility. But every distribution on the way up was also invalidated. So you are basically counter context. And in those cases, it's always really important to zoom out and then watch how does it look on the 4-hour. And then you will see that this looks like shit. Are you in a clean POI? Let's delete everything. Is price right now in a super clean POI? No, not really. We have supply above. We did have demand here, but the stronger demand is resting in that lower level, which is basically the start of that impulse. So right here, I think, no, nothing interesting. I think lower, or either look for bounce lower or look for shorts higher. And then if you zoom in again, 1 hour, how does 1 hour look? Nothing really. And you can also see trend is super strong. So is it a high context environment now to play a low time frame accumulation? Then I would say no. So I would be very careful with playing this. But we can still mark out the levels and the confirmations. So let's see. We have tab 1, we have tab 2, we have tab 3, model 1. Accumulation. Let's see. We did have a break on the 1 hour. Not on the 1 hour. Basically on the 45 we did. So that's confirmation 1. But we did not want to play the model 1, but the model 1 into the model 2. So that means we need to grab extreme demand or extreme liquidity. Well, extreme demand is pretty clean here because it's the lowest demand you have. And in this case, you lack extreme liquidity. There's no, that's basically the first higher low. So you could say this is your extreme liquidity, but that's not the one you like. So then you want to look at extreme demand, which is this last sell to buy. So currently price is in that demand. And then you want structure confirmation. So the way you move into this needs clear structure. Well, on the 5, you don't have structure besides this. Lower high, lower low, SFP, rotation to the low. So here your structure is this high. On the 2, you have better structure. You tapped into the lowest demand. So this is a clean PY. This supply got mitigated. And then internally, you basically have low, lower high, lower low. So this is your breaker structure on the 1 minute. Is that in the value area? Probably it is. Yeah, so value area low is directly at the range low, which is pretty good. However, in this case, again, if you zoom in, then you can get trapped mentally because you think, oh, if this confirms, then I need to get in, I need to be in. But again, if you zoom out, then this move down is pretty aggressive. So 1 minute boss here is not enough for a full reversal to here, in my opinion. So I would monitor it, but I would like to see like maybe a strong break above and then see how price reacts and then maybe get in on the next higher low. Or here, if you internally have an uptrend, then join the trend from there. But directly going in on the first boss, yeah, you can try it because your invalidation is super clean, which is here. But be aware that it can be a stop out pretty quickly as well. So let's see if we get the boss. And then how I would look at it is basically maybe you get that confirmation. So price pushes above. And I will see maybe I can get in somewhere around here, the lower levels, trade it back there. But we are in a downtrend. So it's likely that just as with Bitcoin, that local accumulation pushed price higher and that you then continue lower until you start a higher time frame range, tapping into that demand, and then you can get higher time frame reversals. But for now, longs are lower probability than shorts. So that's something to take into account. So BTC, okay, BTC just took out the monthly open. Quite a lot of volume. Monthly open, weekly, and POC tapped. Yeah, big level. But without a setup or confirmations, especially structure, I personally can't do anything. But always trade for yourself. I can see plays out where you use a wider stop and then look, but that's not how I trade. So keep that in mind as well. So that is the view on BTC, on Tao. Let's see, Tao, it can be interesting. Three-minute supply. Yeah, let's see. Okay, BTC, clear, ETH. Yeah, ETH is, it's a weird chart. I'm not even gonna go over ETH. I don't like it. For regarding hype, this one has been super clean. And we discussed it a bit in the group, but how I see it, I don't see this as the third tab already. Just watch like a range consists out of clean sideways price action. And this move between tab 2 and 3 is too vertical for my likings for a distribution. So I don't see this as a model 1 already, also because the time displacement is way too short. But what I can see happen is that this is tab 1. These two merge into tab 2 because they are so close to each other. And then let's say price comes down here and then comes up slowly, leaving sell side liquidity behind. And then break structure that you have tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, break internal back to bearish, and then it looks like a high time frame distribution range to me. However, for that, this can take like 2 weeks or so more, combining looking at the distance between the tabs. And beside that, structure is always leading. So daily, basically from the low up, we have high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Then we had that local reaccumulation. So that's also always something to keep in mind. The big players, they clearly accumulated here. 1, 2, 3. So was the purpose of them to accumulate here and then directly distribute it here? Or have they accumulated enough here and are they looking to offload their bags, for example, in that upper supply? Context-wise, I could see that happen as well. That they accumulated enough right here because this took time for them. And right now, the distribution doesn't look good from a timing perspective. So maybe it's their goal to distribute their bald coins, which they did mainly at the lows here, higher up, and that they want to defend it so that they might look to continue this local uptrend from low to high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So that are a few ways how it can play out. And locally, I'm watching this topping range, basically from high. It's not a topping range, by the way, but a range at the top. Range high, range low. And this is always like a inflection range or inflection point where you have range high, range low. Then we have the range value area high around this level. And you have your structure. And below this, we do have some. Do we have demands? Yeah, so we have like a small 10-minute demand zone directly overlapping with the value area high of the range. And below that, you only have liquidity. Basically this liquidity trail. So either the buyers, which probably accumulated then at the lows, if they want to distribute higher, they will probably defend this level. Because if they lose this demand, below that you only have sell side liquidity. So then you probably drop down directly to here. And then you are also back below your value area high, which then makes it much more likely that this can be the high already. So this is a level where either the market makers that bought in here will defend this local structure, or you get back into it and then eventually distribution looks way more likely. But it will take more time. So I'm watching this local range, which either holds above $44, or it's likely that you get a rotation back into 42 and that your potential high is already in. Then you can watch how do you move into the lows. This is already pretty strong as well, locally. So that's it for the main pairs. Look Tao week. ETH, yeah, look at this. I don't know why I'm still looking at ETH each day. Maybe I need to lower it down in my section, bring Hype and Tau up, or replace it with Solana. But ETH is such horrible price action. And it's been it for years already, so I don't know why I'm still looking at it. BTC, yeah, it's going low, but the buyers have disappeared. They left the chat. Let's see. For Tau we have ETH looks like, yeah. Okay, I see Sol. Can you guys say replace it with Sol? Let's have a look at Sol then. Yeah, at least Sol had here a local accumulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, or absorption low. Got a full rotation back to the high. Swept the high. Broke that internal structure back to bearish. Around here. And then actually moved down. While the high also had a local model, I believe. Yeah, so the actual high had a kind of a 1, 2, 3. Although a hard one to play. But to be honest, this looks already a lot better than ETH, because ETH also almost never puts in any Wyckoff models. Yeah, here we had like this range. 1, 2. Kind of like a local bearish PO3. And then a rotation down. So maybe I'm indeed gonna change ETH for Sol. Sol also has a clean UI. If we look at it from this range perspective, then we have clean demand resting below. Yeah, I'm gonna think about it. Maybe the only thing what you can always know is that if you want to short, you should look at ETH. Yeah, I've made a decision. Fuck ETH. Bring Sol back. BTC, Hype, Sol and DAO. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, because ETH is basically just the weak Bitcoin pair. But then, yeah, what's the sense of looking at it if it never provides a trade? Okay, thanks for that insight, guys. Much more price action on Sol. Yeah, much better. It's better choice indeed. Each chart makes me sad. I think it's also replaced with something. I haven't traded Sol since 24. What do you guys think about SEC, or is it just too pump and dumping? Yeah, let's have a look. Sui, I also always like to trade Sui, but I have to watch how the chart is lately. It's weird, pumpy, dumpy, SEC. Yeah, the thing is that SEC was always dead, and then that momentum out of nowhere came. Now it's just in a mega range, I think. Or this is your range. Dodge. We. Yeah. And I want to keep it very clean as always, but I did add them last week to see if there's something super interesting. I will watch him, but I'll probably just stick to the main ones. Let's see. Are there check EPC for alts in general? Professor Sol instead of ETH. Yeah, I sometimes manually check ETH BTC, but most often I just know that it's looks shit as fuck. It always looks like shit. Probably it looks even shittier right now than the last time I looked. Yeah, it's horrible. It's crazy how often people have charted this. Like oftentimes you can get trapped by return to zones, and that's also what I often warn for. Like return to zone can be a good sign, but you always need structure confirmations to expect a reversal. Well, because sometimes a good return to zone is left behind with the purpose to take that all out the moment you break it back to bullish. But it can also just be a sign that price is failing to make higher highs and just continuously makes lower lows and lower highs simply because it's just too weak to do anything. That's the essence of this whole return to zone on ETH versus BTC, because this is not, yeah, this is just so weak, and everyone for years have been calling about the reversal because of the return zone, but without confirmations, it can also just be weakness. So don't let you always be blinded by a potential return to zone. Potential is always nice, but without a reversal, it's basically nothing. Just as here, if you just look at the structure, it was all the time simple bearish market structure. and it can continue longer than you imagine. Okay, so to make an end to it, we have broken down. We are bearish locally. It's also, if you look at, like, sometimes the super trend can be easy to spot trends, but right now, obviously, bearish trend on 4 hour. Let's see. So on 8 hour, 12 hour just broke bearish, and from here 6 hour, 4 hour, 3 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour, basically everything is pointing lower. So if you want to go against that trend, which is often what people like to do if you just broke out of a range, but it's way more likely that price continues lower instead of gives a reversal. So if you want to see a reversal, then the triggers need to be super clean, or you need super good reasons to expect it. But to me, this doesn't look like that at all. So I'm just going to be patient, and yeah, I hope to see price a little higher into this supply and then look for shorts. But yeah, maybe we just, we tap this refined supply, it seems. This refined supply and then sold off aggressively. Not really a setup I will take. But also no long, no short here. So I'm just going to be patient. And in the meantime, look at some of the other pairs. But yeah, cannot ignore this Model 1 that is in play. So until proven otherwise, this likely rotates higher. It can give pullbacks and then go higher, but it's likely that we travel back to the highs. Just following the unbiased view of the chart we've been monitoring for a long time. And yeah, hype we can watch. If we take out the low, do we see buyers step in? That will be a good sign for the potential accumulation, especially if we keep holding like a buy side liquidity. Then this can potentially be a nice play over the coming days. And for Sol, I will chart it at a later moment to see it a bit. For now, that the demand lower looks pretty juicy. And Tao, yeah, I've already explained it. It can be worth watching, but keep in mind that the high time frame looks bearish, lower looks likely. So then context-wise, it's super low probability. So then the triggers need to be super clean boss. And even then, I think there's no hurry to get in directly. It's not the best accumulation I have seen. And then also if BTC shits the bed, like right now it's in downside momentum, and then playing a low probability potential accumulation, yeah, you can enter and within 5 seconds already be stopped out. So take that into account. Besides that, nothing much to do for me, but it's often on Monday. Monday, 9 of 10 times I'm a spectator. And then see how does our Monday's range form. There. Right now we have Monday high right there, Monday's low right here. But obviously that can change further. But then you have kind of a local range to work with, and that can give better plays. Tau to hit it unfinished. Yeah. What was that again on Tau? It was lower, right? Somewhere here. It was a daily. Yeah. It's the monthly open as well. I'm gonna give that a orange color. Yeah, so it's a matter of time we take that monthly unfinished, weekly unfinished, daily, 8 hour, 12 hour. I don't think I've ever seen so many confluences for a bet low. But here again, you can see that first you can go massively up, but eventually you will probably come back. And if we take it monthly low, I'm also sure we take the range low, because this is all super ugly lows. So also combining that context, it can play out, but yeah, I don't feel it. So let's see. Then one last quick look at gold. Like silver is just in this range. We broke structure back to bearish right here on this local uptrend. So with high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, break. So this is now range supply. So if we get weakness into that level, then you can look for shorts. This is the last demand, protecting it from going back to the lows basically, because this is all just liquidity. There's no demand in it. So maybe a short from here back to the lows. I can see that happen. Other scenario is that if you hold around here and give like a local range, then I will not be surprised to see this swing trend continue as well. So it depends on what we locally do. If we go a bit sideways and form a good range, then I'm more leaning towards higher. If you get a move up without a good base being built around here, then I think lower is more likely. Last one before I'm closing it is gold. Oil is also moving higher again. Still waiting for this supply, which was basically that supply created with that local model 1. And it's super aggressive drop. Last time we came close to it, but sold off. So this is, if we come back into that level, that is where I'm potentially interested in trades. Gold, gold, gold. Yeah. High time frame. This is the range. Range high, range low. This was basically deep wick, taking out a lot of the sell side liquidity into demand, then a strong reaction from it. But it looks pretty toppish to me. So I think this can maybe go back for extreme liquidity right there. And then potentially see something. But yeah, you guys know I like my local ranges. And right now I don't see anything. You could technically look at it from this. But this looks more like a Bart to me. With this his hair and then full retrace. So if price goes back and then consolidates, then I like this as a range. For now, this looks, yeah, I would not be surprised if this is just low, lower high. This is process of lower, low, and then does something like this. So I don't see really anything for me to play on gold. So don't have much to say about it. So that's it for now. Yeah, let's see how we trade over the next few hours and days, and hopefully get a clean setup tomorrow. But for now, bears are in control, so don't fight the trend. And as always, if we just wait, a new setup will always come. Just like tomorrow, this morning, where I was not sharp enough, but that model 1 into model 2, that is just a clean trade. And you can book 2.5 hours, sit back, and just wait for the next setup. This time I missed it, but that's basically all you need. Enter TP, technical target, and then watch for the next range. Do the same again, and then that's everything we need. And it's still only Monday, indeed. So a long week ahead. So looking forward to it. And then thanks everyone. Happy trading. If you see any setups or any models or anything, share it in the group. And the more we work together, the more efficient we can be. So see you guys in the Discord, and happy trading for now. Cheers.